Hey y'all, how's it going? My name is Rosendo from MLH. Today we've got some excellent content coming to y'all from one of our amazing sponsors, DeSo, the decentralized social media blockchain. So basically we're going to be bringing on Liam, Piotr, and Alex from DeSo to talk more about what you need to get started with developing on DeSo and just giving you the ins and outs of the platform itself and letting you know everything you need to know in order to complete the challenges this week at LHD Build. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and introduce y'all to Liam, Alex, and we've got Piotr here as well. All right, y'all, take it away.
Thanks so much, Rosendo. We're really excited to meet all of you. Thank you for tuning in and to learn a little bit more about DeSo, Web3, and specifically decentralized social networks. So I'm Liam. I'm on the DeSo team. I support with things around operations, marketing, some of DeSo's hackathon initiatives, such as MLH. And I'm with Alex and Piotr, and we're going to be presenting some interesting things to you, hopefully today. So I'll let Alex and Piotr also briefly introduce themselves.
Cool. Thanks, Liam. Hey, everyone. My name is Alex Velitis. I oversee strategy and operations at DeSo. Quick background, I actually participated in a number of Major League Hackers events when I was in my undergrad. So super stoked to be partnering with this organization moving forward and to talk to you a little bit today about Web3 and DeSo. Piotr, you want to go?
Yes. Hey, thank you very much for joining. My name is Piotr, and I'm working here on the core technology at the DeSo blockchain. And it's funny because I'm actually a student as well. I'm a senior at Boston University studying computer science. And for some reason, I never participated in hackathons. So this is also an interesting experience for me joining for the first time. Just a few words about myself. My academic interests are primarily algorithms, cryptography, and distributed systems. And these classes somewhat got me into blockchain, and here I am at DeSo, looking to disrupt the decentralized social space for blockchains.
Yes, we all are, and we're excited to touch on that a little bit. Alex specifically is going to be diving into it a little bit more, and then just quick overview as we talked about. DeSo is a decentralized social blockchain, and Alex can dive into it deeper, but think from a very high level. Imagine almost as if all of the Twitters, Instagrams, etc. of the world had that data that was shared in a way that was accessible for anybody to tap into and make a call from and immediately create their own app. Users own their data and such. But we'll go into it more, and we're going to show today how you can actually quite easily and quickly build an app on top of this decentralized database. To go through quickly the presentation overview, I'm going to be touching on initially about what is Web3 and a couple aspects related to it. Alex is going to be diving deeper into the decentralized social, as well as an overview of the DeSo app ecosystem. And then Piotr is going to be leading the code demo, which we're really excited about. And then we're going to wrap up just overviewing some challenges that we have in store for the week, as well as some time for Q&A. Now, first, I thought I'd give a quick overview of Web 1, Web 2, and Web 3. As simply as possible, you can think about it as Web 1 is like read, where you would go onto the internet. It was very like skeuomorphic from what exists in the physical world. Newspapers would post their paper on the internet. Restaurants would post their menu. Like very, very simple. People would go to consume data. And I've listed some popular Web 1 companies at the bottom there too. Web 2 came the innovation where people could read and write. User-generated content that we see, which is frankly the platform for all of these social networks like Twitter and Facebook, etc. That was pioneered and framed as Web 2. And some prominent Web 2 companies are like Facebook, Airbnb, anything where you are adding data to the network as well. And where Web 3 comes in is it adds a new layer to this. It allows you, the user, to have the ability to own their data in a way that they haven't been able to historically, at least on Web 2 networks, where you can make a post to the Web 3 Twitter and you own that. It can't be deleted, it can't be manipulated. You can create an NFT that you will own and sell and receive royalties on if you should choose to. So the key thing is that it's decentralized ownership and storage, so it's really in the user's favor. And some prominent Web3 organizations are like Ethereum, which is a blockchain, Uniswap, which is a DeFi exchange, decentralized finance exchange, Axie Infinity, which is a play to earn game, and then obviously DeSo, which we're going to talk about a little bit more today. So quickly, a brief overview on what a blockchain is. A blockchain is essentially as simple as just a linked list of transactions that is shared across many computers. And blockchains are decentralized, meaning that they're stored and backed up across many computers instead of one central server. They're open, meaning that anybody can see the transaction history. You can even see my wallet history, all the transactions I've made on Ethereum, as well as Alex, all the transactions he's made on DeSo, etc. And then they're immutable, meaning that it can't be changed. You can't go back and edit. And then on blockchains, there are tokens. And then a brief overview of tokens. There's a few different types. But first, before that, let's explain what a token is. A token, very simply, just represents ownership of an asset on the blockchain. So if you have a token, it means that you own that token. It means that you own that asset that is based on the blockchain. Now, there are a few types: fungible tokens, NFTs, and creator coins we're going to highlight today. In fungible tokens, you can think about it as simple as where one of that token always equals one other of that same token. So as an example, in US dollars, $100 bill will always equal a $100 bill. It doesn't matter when it was printed. It doesn't matter who's held it before. That will always be the same. And then there are cryptocurrencies really are fungible. One Ethereum is always worth one Ethereum. One DeSo is always worth one DeSo. So all of cryptocurrencies, at least crypto how it's typically defined, are fungible. And there's a lot of them. There's over 100 or about 100 cryptocurrencies now that have a market cap of $1 billion or more. Now moving on, really in 2021, we've seen this emergence of NFTs, or non-fungible tokens. And NFTs are when no two assets are the same. So as an example, like pictured below is Eminem's Bored Ape. So Eminem's Bored Ape is not the same as the Bored Ape that was printed just after his. It's very unique. It has specific characteristics. And even if it looks the same on the surface, it'll still have a unique ID that makes it differentiated in some way. Now, NFTs are commonly used to represent art, but there's some really cool other applications that I think are going to begin emerging more, such as ticketing, land ownership, authentication certificates, and much more. Now, the third type are creator coins. Creator coins are really pioneered in the early days by DeSo, along with a couple other apps, but really DeSo, where we have hundreds of thousands of profiles that have a creator coin. And it's basically tokenizing an individual profile. And when you do that, it opens up possibilities to do a bunch of really cool things, such as tipping those profiles or creating gated tiers based on ownership where people can receive exclusive perks. And the example that I've highlighted is, this is actually Alex's profile on the bottom. So Alex is a bit of a DeSo influencer. He has a few thousand followers and a token price of about $275. So there are many owners in Alex's DeSo profile, which is pretty cool. And the last thing I want to touch on today before I pass it over to Alex is, what is DeFi? And Alex is going to explain why this is relevant for DeSo. But DeFi simply means decentralized finance. And if I could put it in one sentence, it's basically creating systems that eliminate the middleman from the equation, eliminating the need to have an intermediary like a bank, where you can engage directly with the service that's run on smart contracts instead of having that intermediary that takes a fee. Now there's some pros and cons to this. The pros are that you can do much more. It increases transparency, privacy if you want, returns because you take the full pie instead of giving a little bit of it to the intermediary. But there's also increased risk. You can't go back. Blockchains are immutable. If you make an error, you could lose all your money. As an example, if you enter in the wrong coin address, you could lose all your money, etc. And there's smart contracts, many scams. But yeah, that's the current state of decentralized finance. Decentralized finance really boomed in 2020 and is still continuing to emerge. But DeSo is built on a new paradigm that we're pioneering, and I'll let Alex talk about it here. We call it decentralized social.
Thanks, Liam. Yeah, I think that was a great background on just Web3 and blockchains in general. And what I'm going to do is sort of shift the focus now to talking about a different use case we see for blockchains. I think it's very easy to treat, a blockchain sometimes as like a hammer in search of a nail. But in our case, I think there's actually some very compelling reasons for why social media apps belong on a blockchain. So in order to understand sort of what the potential is here, we first need to take a moment to understand how social media companies work today. So if you look at social media today, it's very concentrated. A few companies like, Facebook or Instagram, LinkedIn, Snapchat, they basically control all public discourse online. And their business models are set up in such a way that they actually are incentivized to actually build basically walled gardens around this data. So what are some of the downsides of that paradigm? Well, the first is that, you as a user, right, despite putting all this time and effort to maybe building up your presence on one of those social media platforms, you can't really port over any of that content or those followers or that profile data with you to a new platform. You kind of have to start from scratch every time, which is, really unfortunate if you are to say build up a really big audience on one social media app, and then suddenly you want to go to another one. You have to kind of start from square one, which is really, unfortunate. The second, which is debatably, an even bigger problem, is that because these social media applications essentially control the infrastructure that they are built on, they basically get to control all of your data and how you get to engage with it. So specifically, a lot of these social media platforms have very opaque revenue sharing agreements. So it's very difficult as a user for me to be properly compensated. In fact, a lot of these social media platforms until very recently didn't even have any sort of revenue sharing agreement on platforms. So the creators who are actually driving a lot of the value and getting people to come to the platform weren't actually being properly compensated. There's also issues, right, with if a platform decides they want to turn off your monetization or boot you from the platform, there's no way in which the crowd collectively can decide on that. And so what a decentralized social world living on a blockchain looks like is effectively all of that content and profile data and interactions are shared on basically an open and distributed blockchain, aka or database, aka a blockchain. And when you actually have all of that content on the blockchain, it means that any app that wants to come and build on top of that content can do that. And that unlocks a couple of very compelling use cases. One is that once you create your DeSo identity or wallet, you can immediately use that on any app that's built on the DeSo blockchain. So what's really cool is I can build up, those couple thousand followers on one DeSo app, right? Like our Twitter client. And then if I want to go try an NFT platform, I click one button and all of that content, profile data, and everything comes with me. And it also unlocks a lot of these basically baked in use cases, whether it's, the ability to easily mint an NFT for just a few cents, or to invest in creators, or unlock a bunch of new use cases. So that's sort of the case for why decentralized social is such a compelling use case for blockchain. So for the next slide, what I want to basically discuss real quick is, why did we actually need our own dedicated blockchain to do this? Why couldn't we use any of the other blockchains that are out there? So as a bit of background, I've worked on, other layer one blockchains like Ethereum in the past. And while they're very good for certain aspects like decentralized finance, the way in which the architecture is built makes it that it doesn't really scale social media applications well. Specifically, they don't implement any sort of custom indexing or storage optimizations. And what this actually manifests as is that the cost to actually be a node that participates in storing the blockchain state is very cost prohibitive. If you look at the second image below there on the right side, that actually shows a cost breakdown of what it would take a node in the network to actually store that full on-chain state, right? So if you were actually going to try to store it on DeSo, it could cost as little as $80 for 1 gigabyte. And when you start to look at Ethereum, Solana, Avalanche, Cardano, it gets a lot higher. And so what DeSo is basically a purpose-driven blockchain that has a defined data schema, has implemented custom indexing and storage optimizations from day one. And that allows actually the nodes in the network to actually host the blockchain or the copy of the state for cheaper. And it allows the participants to actually participate on a blockchain that isn't prohibitively expensive. For those of you that have used maybe Ethereum or Solana, it can be like really expensive just to like send a transaction during peak hours. And we believe that making these optimizations, it's actually a great way for new people to enter. And Piotr can also speak to some of the other details of how we do this. So moving on to, specifically, how we work from an organization standpoint. The DeSo Foundation is similar to the Ethereum Foundation in that we are the main team that contributes to the DeSo blockchain and protocol. We're open source, so anyone can basically suggest updates to the protocol. Apps can obviously build on top of us, but we essentially are, like the main contributor at this point, and we basically help build a fertile ecosystem for people to build apps on and to contribute to. We're actually a relatively young blockchain. We only launched in March of last year. And in that time, we've already raised $200 million from some of the bigger investors like Andreessen Horowitz, Sequoia Capital, Coinbase Ventures. We've also seen a lot of like really great user adoption with over 400,000 creator accounts already on the platform. And today, I think we surpassed 60 million transactions that have already happened. So it's been really great to see all this growth in a short period of time. And just to wrap it up before we hand it over to Piotr to kind of talk through some of the code walkthroughs, we wanted to briefly allude to just a few of the features that we have coming out that we're really excited for all of you to see. So the first one, which we believe is like a very important paradigm shift for Web3 development, is that we're actually launching this feature called Smart Services. So just to give you a quick background of how Smart Services work, if you look at the different layers in an application you interact with today, there's sort of three parts. There's the UI layer where you actually see and interact with it. There's the actual server, which is actually ingesting those actions and events and making the state changes. And then there's the database where you're actually storing all this content and data. So how things work today in the Web 2 world is that a centralized company, let's say like Twitter, they would own every part of the stack. So they control the UI and how it's displayed. They control the actual computation on the center, and then they actually own the databases with all the user content. What we want to do is we actually want to shift that paradigm, and we want to have sort of this hybrid model. So we think the most important thing to have decentralized is your content and your assets, because as long as your content and your assets are in that shared database, then you get the censorship resistance and portability benefits that you would want. However, one area where we make a big, basically step away from the smart contracts model is that we actually have basically this middle layer we're calling Smart Services, where we basically offload the computation to centralized trusted smart service providers. And this allows basically a couple benefits. One, you don't have a lot of the basically like trade-offs in terms of efficiency that you would with smart contracts where you have to actually distribute that computation. It's also really nice because you can actually go and use whatever tech stack you're already familiar with to build. So you don't have to up level on a brand new programming language or a tech stack. You can actually get going and interacting with the DeSo blockchain in really just a few hours. Moving on from smart services, another thing that I think is going to be super exciting moving forward is that we're actually starting to invest in the app ecosystem. So we at DeSo don't want to build the apps. That's what makes us different than Facebook and Twitter is that we only want to maintain the blockchain. What we really want to do is actually have the community build those apps on top of it. So we actually just announced at the end of last year, we're doing a $50 million Octane fund in which you can basically apply for funding and we'll give you capital to actually go and build on the DeSo blockchain. In just the first cohort, we already allocated over $11 million to people that are building. So if coming out of one of the MLH hackathons or just on the side, you have a project that you think has a lot of momentum, you can actually apply on our website for an opportunity to have more capital to continue to build. So I think that's a really exciting new project we have, and I think it's going to bring a lot of new people in. So just wrapping that up, we're going to hand it over to Piotr, who's now going to talk into some more of the details of how the DeSo ecosystem works.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Alex. So I think what I would like to do is we're kind of divided this next presentation into two parts. First, I'll have to share my screen, so bear with me while I do it. So first, I don't know, can we see my screen? Oh, awesome. So I would like to walk us through the application layer on the DeSo blockchain. So we'll see some of the apps built running on the blockchain. And then what I'd like to do is quickly walk through the code, and so we can actually see how this works. And this will be really helpful, especially for the tasks that are scheduled, the daily and weekly challenges. All right, so let's see. So I was actually on the wrong slide, so apologies for that. All right, so first let's explore some of the DeSo apps. One of the main apps built on the DeSo blockchain currently, it's called Diamond, which is somewhat of a Twitter running on the blockchain. And one of our flagship applications. What's interesting, it's actually run fully by a third party. So it's not even the DeSo Foundation that's running this application. So what I'd like us to do is to set up an account here, and we'll just see how one of the social media applications running on the blockchain could look like. But there's option for so many more applications that could be made. Someone could make an Instagram, for example, running on the blockchain, or Facebook, or so many more apps. All right, so let's sign up. So first thing we see, we see this little window that just opened, which is called the DeSo Identity. And Identity is an interesting software. It's a server that is used to manage user credentials. So normally on Ethereum or Solana, you're used to using MetaMask or other wallets. But in DeSo, applications just need to integrate with DeSo Identity. And actually, some of the challenges that we have for you guys is, to play around with the DeSo Identity. So I think it'll be good to kind of also see how it works, which we'll do shortly. So first thing we're going to do is to sign up to create a new account. So first thing is we'll see our seed phrase, which I hope no one's going to copy it and disrupt the presentation now. But this is somewhat of a password, you can think of it, on traditional social media. Well, if you lose it, or if someone takes it, there's not really much you can do. They can take over your account. So keep it secret. You should probably download it or write it down on a piece of paper. But for the purpose of this walkthrough, we'll just copy it, which is bad practice, but let's actually do it. So let's just put it in notes real quick, and this shouldn't be here, but okay, perfect. We'll use it soon. All right, so now I just created my account. That was as simple as that. If you're a regular user now, you should get some starter DeSo by validating your ID or validating your phone number. But we're going to skip this part because I don't have more phones to verify here. So we're just going to go to browse on Diamond, and we're going to see the main feed on Diamond app. As you can see, we're normal account, so we haven't really set up our account yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send some starter DeSo to this account so I can create my account, because it's running on the blockchain. We need some of the DeSo currency in order to create a profile. So I'll just do it right now. And normally you should have some funds when you validate your SMS or your ID. which is used for us to prevent bots from creating accounts and trying to game the system. So now, as you can see, I got some starter DeSo. So now I can create my account. So let's do it right now. Let's say, what should we name our profile? Let's go MLH user. Why not? All caps. So let's set up our profile picture. And let's say in our description, hello, MLH. And awesome, we just created an account. So we're here. This is our profile, and as you can see, there's we have 0 followers right now, unfortunately. And we have this thing called Founder Award here as well, which is used for our creator coin, which Alex briefly mentioned earlier. So, all right, so we just created our profile on the DeSo blockchain, and it's actually made on the blockchain. This is this information is queried directly from multiple nodes running the blockchain as we speak. And we'll actually see that if we go to a different website, we'll still have our profile there. All right, so we went through creating our Diamond app profile. We went through the identity briefly, and we just set up our account. So yeah, I should have probably went through these slides. Sorry for that, guys. Yeah, so we'll probably return to that in a second. But all right, let's see. Let's buy some creator coin. This is one of the interesting tokens that exist on the DeSo blockchain. Let's spend, let's see, 10 cents. Perfect. All right, the confetti is awesome. So now in our wallet, we can see that we bought our own creator coin, and other people can buy it too. We can, for example, lower our founder reward if we want to allow people to actually invest in our coin. And if we go viral for some reason, then people could make money off of us, or we'll make founder reward on every purchase. We got some notifications. So wow, Alex just followed me. That's awesome, and Liam as well. All right, so let's see. Let's post to the blockchain. This is our first post. We exist now. Cool. All right, so this was one of the transactions that can be made on the DeSo blockchain. Submitting a post or buying creator coins or lowering a founder reward, which we also did, is also another type of transactions. So a transaction in normal world could mean like financial transactions. But in the world of blockchains, it's actually anything that modifies the blockchain state. So blockchains are basically databases that are copied over like multiple machines, and it's very strict. They have very strict rules as to like how you add new data and stuff like that. So anything that modifies this data is called a transaction. So we don't only have financial transactions, but we also have posts, likes, diamonds, which is another feature. So we can explore that actually. So a like is another transaction. I just like my post. Usually you shouldn't do it, but I'll just do it for this sake of presentation. A diamond is also another type of transaction we have, which is an abstraction for a tipping. So if you like a post, you can give it some money. You can, for example, okay, I can't give myself money. I'm sorry. But I can give DeSo some money. Maybe that's not the best presentation, but I can give Salil some money. I can give him, let's see, can I give him 0.01 cent? I don't think I have this much money. Oh, I have, perfect. So yeah, I just tipped this user, and other users can tip me. As you can see, he got some diamonds already. And yeah, I could, for example, repost. Let's see. This is another transaction. Now it is on my feed, and everyone can see it on my page. And yeah, so these are some types of transactions. I recommend just going on Diamond, creating an account, and exploring what other transactions are possible. You can actually also mint an NFT if we have an image. I don't know if I have a good image to show you guys, but let's see. Maybe we can mint an image of the DeSo logo. Let's see. Create an NFT. All right, let's do it. No price. I advise you guys to look through this. There's some things that you can set, for example, royalties, which is how much money you will get when this NFT sells. As we discussed earlier, NFTs are non-fungible tokens. So there's only like a unique copy of each NFT. And that was it. We just created an NFT. On ETH or Solana, you probably have to pay like $1,000 to do this. But we just I don't know. I don't think our balance drained that much. So yeah, someone can buy it if they choose to. They can run an auction, and I can accept the bid. All right, so that was some exploration of the apps that were built on the DeSo blockchain. And to see that this data is shared, we can actually go to a different app, and we'll see the same data. So let's actually do this. So node.deso.org is actually a application that's running on by the DeSo Foundation on the DeSo blockchain. Can be used by developers to see what the best practices are for interacting with the blockchain. So we're going to set up an account here. So if I log in, you can see that it also opens the DeSo identity. And actually, it's interesting because the identity already knows that I have logged in to Diamond. So I can see my account here right away, and I don't have to put my seed again. So if I click on the account, the identity will give node.deso.org a token that it can then use to communicate with the identity and use it to, for example, sign transactions, which is what happens on blockchains because we're using public and private keys. So let's log in and see what happens. Okay, so I just logged in. As you can see, it's a similar application. It's also similar to Twitter. As you can see, I also have my balance here, which I wish was a little bit higher, but for now, I guess it will do. I can see my profile picture that I set, and I can see my NFT and the post I reposted in my initial post. So I can do the same interactions that I did previously, and yeah, this is all going to go to the blockchain, and you can get the data from there. All right, that's what we just did. And let's see. Okay, so Node is an application run by the DeSo Foundation. Diamond is another application that's run by third parties, but there's much more apps. There's actually over 200 apps that are built on DeSo blockchain. Some of them are for NFTs. Some are just for discovering projects. And other apps like Prosper Cloud is just to get some analytics about the DeSo blockchain. So, for example, Polygram is specifically for NFTs. You can look through some interesting NFT collections like the Cloudpunk collection is one of the bigger ones on DeSo. You can, I don't know, what other ones do we have here? Let's explore. Yeah, we got a bunch of other NFTs. And then BitHunt is actually an app that you can use to sort of see what other projects are built on the DeSo blockchain. Someone made a maze on the DeSo blockchain. I'm actually curious how this works. I've never seen this. There's an NFT wallet. That's one of the newer projects. More NFT collections like Decimons or Spookies. Big Club Pulse is another one. This is a trading platform that people can use to invest in creators, for example. And it has a nice, trading UI that you can use to really track the price. And Prosper Cloud, for example, which you can use to stalk your favorite creators, And yeah, for example, Durmesh is one of users of our blockchain, and as you can see, he's been doing a lot of engagement recently. So yeah, all the data is open, so you can make an app like Prosper Cloud and do some analytics. All right, so that was a quick presentation of the application layer and the DeSo blockchain. Now we'll look through our documentation and actually see how the code looks. Oops. All right, so we'll go to our code walkthrough, which is so this is actually the document that first got me into DeSo, which might be some interesting background story. I really recommend reading this, especially if you're into some hard computer science and theory. So in this documentation, we really explain how the blockchain paradigm works in a sense, and also how we implement it in DeSo. You can think of the DeSo blockchain as very similar to how Bitcoin works currently. We use proof of work for for our consensus. And yeah, I mean, you could definitely spend some time and read through it. If you understand it, then it's good. You're going to be good in blockchain world. But basically, so there's 4 things that are mainly running for a regular application on DeSo blockchain. The core is the blockchain itself, which implements communication between nodes, which are just machines running and exchanging messages with each other. If you took distributed systems, you might have played around with Raft or Paxos or other consensus mechanisms. And our core is basically that, but just a little bit more complicated and with proof of work. Then core implements all the messaging and mining and stuff like that. And then there's backend, which is sort of like the API server that's connected to the core. And it exposes all the data endpoints, such as posts, profiles, creator coins, likes, all that stuff. It's run through the backend, which gives you a rich API that you can use for your front-end app, for example. And then to connect to the node, you can either connect to a node that's, for example, node.deso.org, or you can run your own node, and you can just get the data from there. So you can run your front end and connect to all these endpoints and expose all the data. And then you can incorporate the DeSo identity to manage the user credentials, which we saw before on our other DeSo apps. Oh yeah, and our docs are located at docs.deso.org. So you can explore here and find whatever you want about our core, backend, or identity. So as I mentioned, backend, here we have the backend API, which you can use to get information about the profiles, posts, all this sort of stuff. For example, we could just briefly, I think we're running out of time slowly, but we could let's see. So our profile had a username MLH user and a public key located here. Our public keys are starting with BC1, so we can copy it and we can see what happens. So okay, so this endpoint, for example, get single profile, is used to get information about a user profile. So as you can see, you can get to use this endpoint, you need to pass a public key, or you need to pass a username, and yeah, you'll get information about a user profile. So let's actually do it. I already inputted it here, and I'm using the node.deso.org node for the API. So if I just submit a JSON in the body with just oops, this is actually the wrong one. let's actually do this, get single profile. Oops. And if I put the public key, which you can see here, then we should get some data. All right, so as you can see my username and you can see my description, which we said earlier. And you can see some more information about my creator coin, for example, or if I'm blacklisted. Fortunately, I'm not, so that's good. But yeah, you can explore other users with these endpoints, and let's see what else we could do. We posted on the blockchain as well, for example, so we could just briefly, if we wanted to get our posts, we could use, for example, get post stateless or get single post. But you can feel free to explore here and find all the data you need. Yep. So that's what we just did. And so how you could interact with the blockchain, the simplest way would be to start some Node.js application and just play around with the backend API. So our repository is located at the DeSo protocol handle, and if you go to the examples repository, you can have you can find some simple snippets that are actually used to interact with the identity or with the backend. But you can also just play around with Postman and get this data, or make a simple Node.js app that uses some post requests. You can find some Node.js applications here that you can just copy and paste and start playing around with the blockchain. And I don't know if we have time for that. Guys, do you think we have time for that? I don't think we do. No.
I trust your judgment on it, Piotr.
Yeah, I think we have like 15 minutes left, right? So, all right, so let's just briefly look through what happens when we actually, use the one of the DeSo apps. So, a good way to see how the workflow of app like Diamond works is to just go to Network in the inspector. You just go here like inspect, and you can see here all like the requests and stuff. So for example, when I make a post like this, what happened is the app interacted with the DeSo blockchain to create this post, which you can find looking for our backend API. And then it got this transaction and it used the DeSo identity to sign it. And then it submitted it to the blockchain. So for example, when we're submitting applications, you can see that the first thing that happened was submit post, which created a transaction. And then we posted it to the blockchain by submit transaction. So that's usually the workflow that we have for any app or for any transaction. You first construct the transaction, and you can do it through the backend API for the transaction construction endpoints, like here. And then you run the submit transaction, which we just saw here. It's this endpoint. And yeah, you just put the transaction hex and it just posted on the blockchain. All right, so if you're brave, you can actually set up your own node as well, following our tutorial. Here, the DeSo code will walk you through how to do it. To set up your dev environment, for example, you'll have to run these commands. Our code is written in Go, by the way. I should have mentioned that. Go is a very interesting language, and we use Go because it's very cool for concurrency. So you can have multiple tasks, running at the same time, and Go has a very nice software layer around that, and implements very interesting functions. To do that, you first install Go, and then you can clone some of our repositories. You can clone the core backend, front end, and the identity, you probably can just get away with cloning the three of them. And if you follow this tutorial, you can actually run your own node and join the network if you want to sync all the blocks and do that, or you can just run it in testnet mode, which would be much quicker, and you can play around through that. So yeah, going through this tutorial would give you all the information how to run your own node. And yeah, we're supposed to submit a transaction to testnet node, but I don't think we're going to do it. But yeah, it might have been too in depth so far. But I advise you to look for our documentation, and most of the questions you might have should be answered there. So yeah, so that will be all for the walkthrough, and I'll give it now to Alex. Thank you.
I can actually jump in here. First of all, Piotr, thank you so much. That was awesome. Really cool to see the back end on how everything works, and I hope that the people attending are excited to try it out themselves. One thing, Rosendo, I know if you could pull up the last screen that was on, or I can as well if needed to, but that actually may be easiest if I do it quickly. Just give me 1 second. Do you have one other quick note that we want to share? Okay. Sorry, everybody. Yeah, if you could, Piotr, perfect. Thanks so much. So just to summarize things that we went through, DeSo is a decentralized social network blockchain. The team has built something that's meant to, overtake these monopolistic Web2 social networks that, frankly, control and can exploit users and content creators. We're trying to build something, an ecosystem that is open source, that's creator friendly, that is user friendly, and is builder friendly too. And on the builder friendly side today, we have some daily and weekly challenges that we've outlined for all of you that you can take to get started on DeSo and begin to hopefully build the next big, great social application. So for the daily ones, some of them are pretty simple. We highlighted a lot of them in today's chat. Just exploring a decentralized social network by signing up for Diamond. That's the first one. Second is joining the BitHunt community, exploring some different projects and sending us which one you think is our favorite. The second to last is actually setting up your dev environment, which Piotr briefly discussed. And then last is to create a DeSo profile and to use the API to make a post. Then on the weekly challenges, they're a little bit more in depth, and they're about building apps. So you can try to build your social media application on DeSo, maybe a creator coin exchange, or an app that is powered by creator coins or NFTs in some capacity using the technology that we've enabled. One of the reasons why DeSo is really excited to partner with MLH this year is that, frankly, social networks, a lot of big social networks have been built by students and have been, adopted by students. Like Mark Zuckerberg building Facebook in his dorm, Evan Spiegel doing the same thing. And we really believe that next person could be here, could be somewhere at an MLH hackathon this year, and could build it on DeSo. So we'd love to invite you to try, give DeSo a shot, share feedback with us. We're going to be on Discord, in the MLH Discord. You can send questions directly to Alex, Piotr, or myself, and we'll make sure to get to them, or connect with us on Diamond App. We all have accounts there, and we'd love to hear from you. So on that note, we'd love to jump to the next slide and open it up for any questions that you may have. And on that note for questions, if you throw them in the chat, Alex, Piotr, and I, we will just sift through and can jump through them. I know there have been some great questions throughout that we haven't been able to get to, so we can try to now. Maybe one, Alex, I see. Oh, here we go. Perfect. Peter, it's a technical question. I could try to take a stab at it, but I believe that you'll have a better answer than me. So you can go for it.
Sure. I'm just seeing the question at the bottom. All right. Yeah, what's the difference between smart contracts and blockchain? So smart contracts are basically just software that you can run on the blockchain, but it's still like built on the blockchain. So what people do with smart contracts is they build a virtual machine that's running on the blockchain. So instead of just storing data, you actually have like full like code that you can write. So that's what smart contracts are. You can make this code and you can do like multiple things like ERC20 or NFTs, and yeah, so that's what smart contracts are.
Just reading this new question coming in. What happens about defaulters and users in debt and DeFi? How do you regulate such people? I'm not sure exactly. I can try to touch on this question to the best of my knowledge. I'm definitely not a DeFi expert, but to my understanding, for people that take on debt, as an example, on Compound, which is a common DeFi protocol, where you can borrow against a certain coin to get a specific asset. As an example, if I have 10 Ethereum, I could maybe borrow 30% of its value, but in, let's say, USD, so a USDC, like the US dollar currency in crypto. But what will happen is that my 10 ETH principal that I've put up, if ETH was at, let's say, theoretically, it was at 10K when I did that, and now has gone below 3K, I'll automatically lose that principal. I'll get what's called liquidated. So I'm not sure how you would regulate that if we're going to bump into those issues on DeSo, but definitely an interesting problem where DeFi, through actually smart contracts, has automated the process of this default and debt liquidation. This is a great question, I think, for you, Alex.
Yeah, I'm happy to speak to this. I think, the short answer is like no one truly knows what's going to be, right? Like that next viral app. I think if we knew what it was, or anyone knew what it was, it would go build it right away. But I think there's a few areas in particular that are like really compelling. So one sort of like bucket of applications I think that could be really cool to see explore is basically to take the Web 2 version of an app and then basically build it onto the DeSo blockchain, and you get all the existing functionality plus some new use cases. So for instance, Diamond app is basically just a Twitter client, but you can actually tip people on their posts, right? So I think that just that feature alone is very compelling for a lot of creators out there who maybe are very active and have a lot of engagement, but aren't monetizing at all, right? And I think the same thing can be done for Instagram competitors, Snapchat, Discord, really any like Web 2 successful social app, I believe can have use cases unlocked if you build it on the DeSo blockchain. I also think there's like a couple like brand new things that are very like sort of like Web3 specific. For instance, we're investing in a company that basically is focused on revolutionizing the fine art industry. So they actually use the DeSo blockchain to show provenance or like the ownership history for a piece of fine art and allowed the artist to actually monetize. So that would be like kind of in the bucket of, sort of new things that are blockchain specific. Similarly, apps that basically allow like a celebrity to basically mint like an NFT collection. And if people buy that NFT, they get special perks like getting to DM them, getting access to a private like message, maybe doing giveaways. And then I think the last thing that could be really helpful is if you want to contribute to the ecosystem, because all this data is open, I think there's an opportunity to build something that every app can use. So whether it's a content moderation algorithm, a relevance algorithm, a better block explorer, something like Prosper Cloud with like analytics, I think that can be helpful as well. And our approach from the DeSo Foundation is we want to invest in as many, sort of different and unique apps as possible. So that's why we have the $50 million fund is, we believe that we can actually unlock a lot of different use cases. And the last thing I'll say about this that's really unique is that all it takes is one app to go truly viral on the DeSo blockchain, and every app benefits because now every app will have access to all that content and data for those millions or hundreds of millions or even billions one day of users.
So I could answer to that. So, there's different exploits that you can have. There's the human is usually the worst, element of any security system. So, you can get phished, you can put your seed somewhere where you shouldn't. So that's like one thing that we have no control over. But the things that we have control over is obviously making our infrastructure as secure as possible. So for example, the DeSo identity, we thought really hard about, how to make sure that, it just works securely. And another thing is, all of our code is open source and it's audited. So we make sure that, there's no holes that people can exploit. And we really haven't seen that many exploits so far. So, I think have very good security practices and review and audit auditability is what we can do to make sure our users are safe.
Yeah, I can take that one. So we have a number of different channels to get feedback specifically around development on the DeSo blockchain. So probably the best way to get an answer quickly is to check out our DeSo Foundation Discord. So I can share that. I share that in private chat. Hopefully we can get posted to public, but the DeSo Foundation Discord is a specific place to get a lot of those technical questions answered. You'll see a lot of different channels there. And then also it's kind of cool that since our apps are on chain, people tend to hop into the apps, and sometimes they'll just go onto Diamond app and post a public or a question publicly. So that's another place to look as well.
Oh, great question. So we are fairly young as a blockchain. We've been only around since March 2021. So changing from proof of work to proof of stake is something that we're working on currently. Like I'm working on it very hard currently as well, and many other engineers are too. But this is blockchains. There's a lot of people involved in this ecosystem, so it's not as simple as you can just update the code or completely change everything and now it's fully different. But you have to make sure that it's backwards compatible and stuff like that. So changes usually take a little bit longer in the blockchain space. But this is 100% accurate, and we want to make sure that when we have proof of stake, it's going to be state of the art and very fast in terms of finality, amount of transactions that you can process per second, and decentralization. So we're still working on it, but great question. So I can take that one as well. In Web3, what ownership of data means is basically that it's hard to censor you. That's what we usually mean about ownership of data. So what this means in practice is that there's a lot of machines that can store your data at the same time. And if one of them decides to censor you, that doesn't mean that an entire network of them will censor you. So where the data is actually stored, it's stored in any node that runs the DeSo blockchain. So when we're looking at the docs earlier, you can follow the node setup tutorial, and you can set up your own node, and you can download the entire blockchain history with all the data, and that's where it's stored. There's multiple people running these nodes and storing your data at the same time, having the same copy of the data. It's immutable. And yeah, so that's where it's stored on the network.
I'd also add too, Piotr, right? We're also looking for ways to like support some like other types of storage as well for like rich media content. So for some of the more data intensive or storage intensive types of data, like native video or like images. If you actually look at Diamond App today, users have the ability, if they want, they can actually give a pointer to some of the more storage focused blockchains where they can actually store that and ensure that it's a decentralized storage as well. And then for other use cases, like maybe like messaging, right, where you don't necessarily want like your like DMs and stuff to be like publicly available. There's ways to encrypt that data before it's on the blockchain, or to like store it in a more secure location for those use cases as well. So we really support all that. But yeah, to Piotr's point, the main content and data will still always be stored in that distributed database. I think he might be on mute, Rosendo.
It happens at least once a day. I really want to thank all of you for joining us today. It was great talking to you, Liam, Alex, and Piotr. Thank you for the technical rundown of everything. But just to let y'all know, this is not the end of the Q&A. It is for now, but definitely feel free to drop any of your DeSo related questions in the DeSo channel at the MLH Discord. So feel free to do that. We do also have one last thing. I promised to select one person at random that was viewing this live stream to get a secret swag drop. So you'll be receiving that at the end of LHD build. So Neon X18, go ahead and drop a message for us in the DeSo channel in the Discord, and we'll be sure to send you that secret drop of swag. But with that being said, thank you so much, y'all. I really appreciate everything that you're doing for LHD build. Huge shout out to DeSo, and shout out to everyone that came to watch. So that's it. Thank y'all. Have a good day.
Thanks, everybody. See ya.
Thanks. Bye.